Hello, hello. It's a beautiful day to be alive and a beautiful day to be a part of Onpassive. Because the whole world is turning and churning with possibility just for you. But despite that, I've got to say that everywhere we look today, we seem to see challenges. And to each of those challenges, we offer our own personal reactions. With the extended lockdown in India affecting Onpassive's IT hub, I suppose it's time to really realize that we're at a place in history where we can say with certainty that COVID-19 has created a new norm. For those of us thinking it would have passed away like every other crisis without leaving its mark, this is a wake-up call. Look around, look at the world, look at the changes brought about by this specific epidemic. Of particular interest to us is the huge shift in the way people work. And the vehicle for the vast majority of that shift has been online media. This is part of the shift in global consciousness that I've been preaching about for months, and we can't ever go back to the way that it was. And keeping stride with this is Onpassive's vast digital ecosystem that's going to be right on time. And as much as I love Onpassive, it's also about you and the quality of your life and the things that you live with that interest me greatly. Because 2 years ago, I didn't know I had great value or worthiness. But now, I want you to know very much that you have value and worthiness and you can enjoy life. You too can be happy in this very moment, right where you are on the way to where you are going. And if you can appreciate that, you will arrive at the place that you want to be. Having said that, COVID-19 has provided an opportunity for us all to pause, to retreat from our lives, and in doing so, to remove the constant stimulation that we get from our environment that continually reminds us of who we are, what we do, and of those that we spend time with. This is because we're not using the same modes of transportation, we're not seeing the same people, we're not engaging in the same activities. Now we're engaged in a personal retreat that puts us in the comfort of our own homes. For how long is anybody's guess? But the beauty of this can be found in seeing who we emerge as, because this uncertainty is certainly changing us all. You see, like they always have, environmental conditions have a way of causing us to be uncertain, leery even. We look at the uncertainty with a keen eye because we know things can happen that we can't predict. With COVID-19, we moved away from everything we knew and was predictable for us, like our morning routines. We've moved from the things that were known into something that is not known, into the unknown. And this means for us to make a difference or to create a level of control, we have to be creative. Of course, that's also been witnessed by many innovative changes that have been brought about in the last several months. Changes, I might add, that are right on par with what Onpassive is building. But the fact is, we're not facing an internal crisis. Well, maybe some of us are. But the real challenges are coming through the circumstances that we find in our external environment. And here's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So please hear me on this, because our response to those external circumstances cause each and every one of us to move into a primitive state of response through our autonomic nervous system that drives us, our bodies anyway, into what we call a sympathetic response. It's called the flight or fight response that we learned about in early psychology. That response forces us into an emergency mode where the brain and body enter an alarm state. This is because they perceive a threat coming at us from the outer environment. When there, they also dose us up with adrenaline and cortisol and other stress hormones. For a little while, that's fine. Everybody, all organisms, have to deal with short-term stress of one sort or another at one time or another. The gazelle spots the lion about to pounce, it kicks its stress response, the stress gives it everything it needs to amp up, run, and stay alive. The gazelle is safe. 10 minutes later, and the body goes back into homeostasis. That's the way it should work. But if our perceptions to the outer environment keep that stress response going for extended periods, weeks, months, and even years in some cases, it creates continual stress which prevents the brain and body from achieving homeostasis. It keeps us out of balance. So our reactions to circumstances that are unpredictable or uncertain make us think things are going to get worse and cause us to want to control the outcome. And those perceptions and the feelings that come from them are the exact motivation needed to activate that flight or fight response that we mentioned a little bit ago. So when we live in fear or anxiety of things that we can't predict or control, we mobilize enormous amounts of energy used for the awareness of our environment to find the danger that we're perceiving. Our bodies only have a certain amount of energy, and it's well known if there's no energy available to the inside environment for repair and well-being, then we become a lot more susceptible to the conditions in the outer environment affecting us internally. In other words, responses based in fear, aggression, frustration, pain, and suffering are actually things that weaken us. Right now in history, we're in a period where we have to become conscious about the relationship that we have with our own bodies. We need to be aware that we are amazing human beings, complete with an immune system more than able to combat bacteria, virus, disease, cancers, etc. that can all happen to us at any specific time, any moment. Think about this. During normal life activity, we're reacting to traffic and co-workers and yelling babies and the news, etc. Our response to any of these things happening in the outer environment can cause us to feel some of the limited emotions that we're talking about. So, if I ask, why are you so angry? Why are you frustrated or suffering so? If I'm told, oh, it's the traffic or the news or the co-workers, or I need a break from this child, I'm being told, whether you know it or not, that these outward things are to blame for the way that we feel, which in essence says that we're vulnerable to the environment against our will and we have no control. I'm being told that something in the outer world is actually controlling and influencing how we think and feel. So, if there is anything that we feel is controlling us or that we feel we have no control over, we, well, usually anyway, are taking on the attitude of a victim. According to our thinking, we are a victim to our environment. It's that mindset, that consciousness, if you will, that causes us to become more susceptible to everything in the outer environment. So as a result, our internal environment gets compromised. Our internal environment, which is responsible for metabolism and assimilation, growth and repair, including our immune system, get compromised. It gets weakened. We're all looking for answers, right? We all know innately that there's more to who we are and what we are than our existence here in this physical realm that we call reality for a time. And that feeling, which is really kind of difficult to pin down, has brought a great deal of us to a point where we're looking for more and more truth. And when we learn, when we understand that change, the type of sustainable change we're talking about here, can cause us to actually become greater than our body, to become greater than the conditions of our environment, well, that's a big deal. So it's right now that these things we've learned through the new sciences of quantum, along with meditation and such, have been learned for a time such as this one that we're currently in. We know that fear and stress hormones effectively suppress the immune response. Why do you think Jesus commanded a gajillion times, do not fear, and fear not? Because it's bad for us. But fear is powerful. It causes us to live in a survival mode so that we can see only very limited possibility at every turn, because while stressed out, we select scenarios in our mind that help us prepare for the worst case scenario. But if we trade that fearful emotional state for an elevated emotion like love, gratitude, appreciation, inspiration, or even thankfulness, research has shown that one change will move us from the sympathetic nervous system. By doing this, we're telling our body that it's safe in the present moment and to activate that elevated emotion and practice it for about 10 minutes a day, perhaps 2 or 3 times a day if we can, then our immune system will actually strengthen by 50%. Yeah, 50%. And that's just by practicing gratitude. Now, along with the elevated emotion, there's also a very simple breathing technique that'll put us in a calm state and enable us to appreciate more easily. I talk about this in detail, along with its benefits, in part 3 of the Matrix video series, and even provided affirmations to put you to sleep at night. I really hope that this is helpful for you, and I thank you so much for listening. I'm working on a video about the Onpassive subscription, so be on the lookout for it. But until then, I wish for you and yours only blessing upon blessing.